Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leonie, aka Stitching Noni, and I'm back here for FlossTube number 31. Today's Monday the 19th of August 2019, and my little Stitchy update runs from my last video on the 3rd of August to yesterday. It's 15 days of awesomeness. Finishes, two finishes, zilch starts, so good on one level, but not so good because I like to start something, but that's okay. I've got starts aplenty soon, I'm sure. And I worked on 5 whips, so while there isn't a lot of whips to show, there is a lot of work to show. So yeah, so shall we get on with it? I'll put my cup of tea down and I will get on with what we've got to show. So when I spoke to you last time on the 3rd of August, I showed you a new start that I had at the time, and that was the Mill Hill Crimson Cardinal kit, which was this one. And I'd chosen to start this 4 magical stitches for the Stitching Army week, where we were doing charms. The task was to do a number of charms, and I used this one for 2 of those charms. The first one being the disarming charm, where you had to stitch red beads or red metallics. I chose obviously red beads. And then I used it for Levi Corpus as well, which is the flying charm, or was it the flying charm? Something like that. And I said the reason I used it is because I said the bird looks like he's sort of just floating in midair. It worked because I got my points, so it must have worked. But the exciting thing is I sat up until I finished this little bugger. Look at him, isn't he beautiful? Absolutely awesome. All beaded. All beaded. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So there is in here 1018 beads, and I know because I counted them. They were all half cross stitch, so essentially that divided into that became, you know, 500 and something. But I counted every single one of those little buggers, so I know how many's in there. But I'm really pleased. So I will actually at some point finish this off and put the little beaded thing on it, or whatever I decide to do, or something, but it's finished. So I'm really pleased. That was good. That was a good finish. Started one day, finished the next. I like that. So yeah, started on the 2nd of August and finished on the 3rd of August. Only way to go. Oh, that one over there. So that was the 3rd of August. So I just focused on one thing on the 3rd of August. The 4th of August, I moved on to another whip. And this was also to do with my Stitching Army tasks. And I used it for the Reducto charm. And this one, the Reducto charm, was basically to do with pieces. And so my choice in this instance was to do, and I should have pulled the picture out because I can never find it when I go to look for it, the faces of Joan and Elliott, but I think everybody knows what that looks like, and I will put up a picture to show you what the whole thing looked like if I have one. I'm sure oh well, doesn't matter. I'll put it up. So somewhere in the corner behind me, green screened, whatever I decide to do at the time, there will be a picture of what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. Now, this one I've had around since 2014 when it came out. It actually started, I think, about the 29th of September in 2014. It's on a 28 count Belfast, well, linen. It's probably not necessarily Belfast, there's not a lot of slubby stuff, but it is a linen. And this is what she looks like at the moment. So there's not a lot of change. I will put a picture up to show you where I was at, but essentially for Reducto I just started a new block and I worked on the peacock block. So that was the block I did. I used this also for semi-sane stitches, and this was whip number 2 for my semi-sane stitch. Now, whip number 1 for semi-sane stitches I would have mentioned in my previous video was Peacock Lady. So whip number 2 was this one. So I had to do 200 stitches on this for the domino effect. And for Crazy Whips, I am using the same whips for the Crazy Whips one. And I used this as well. And I said the link between the two was they're both, I'm stitching on peacocks. Oh, and they're both Joan Elliott's as well. So the designer and the subject matter being peacocks. Now, I had to put this down because I've made a slight boo-boo in here and I'm off. So I thought, well, I'm not doing any more on that because I'm only going to have to frog all of this little bit out here. That's right. That's all right. It's just in here. So I thought, no more. I'll frog that out and sort that out. But what did I do? Because I also, that's right, I also worked on the unicorn block. And this is the unicorn block. So I did a little bit on that one. Not a lot. But I did a little bit more on the unicorn block. So I just filled in some of that. So if I have a, well, I will have before pick, I'll put a little picture of that. So all up, I did, so for my semi-sane stitches, it was whip number 2, I had to do 200 stitches. I decided that I would try and do 500 stitches. Given I had it out, I would just do something and make it, you know, worthwhile having it out. But I, as usual with this one, I got a bit tired of it at 385 stitches and put it away. So I didn't meet my personal goal of 500 stitches on it, but to be honest, I'm not going to worry too much about that. So that was from the 4th to the 6th of August. So I basically worked on it for 3, sort of 4th, 5th and 6th of August. On the 7th of August, I bought out another whip that I haven't worked on for a very long time. And that one was the 12 Days of Christmas one. So this one, I started on the 1st of January 2019. This is 12 Days of Christmas by Maria Diaz. It's a design from the Cross Stitch Collection magazine, December 2001. I bought this out for whip number 3 for semi-sane stitches, which meant that I would get at least 300 stitches into this one, which is good because I hadn't really done a lot on it. I think I've had it out twice. This would have been the 3rd time I've had it out this year, which is not good because I had planned that I was going to try and make that one a finish this year, but that's not going to happen, obviously. And this is where it's at now. So you'll be seeing a picture of what it looked like when I started it. And then you'll be able to see what it looks like now when I get myself organised. This is just on some bluey sort of grey 28 count even weave. And there we go. I'm actually quite pleased in the end. I've basically done all of that, and there was greens and yellows, and what else did I do? I think that was it, greens and yellows, because all the bird was done. So yes, so we had to do, I shall tell you what I used this for. So besides semi-sane stitches for 300 stitches, I ended up doing 331 stitches against my 300 whip. I used it for my, I'm reading it and I still can't get my brain to work. I'm using it for Magical Stitches Year 5, Week 6, which was a change of power. So Professor Umbridge was put in charge. And what we had to do for that prompt was work on something that we've either quit or wanted to quit. I basically said that because I haven't worked on this, I obviously wanted to quit it. And there's a lot of quarter stitches in it. I just found it frustrating in the first 2 times that I've stitched on it, and I had sort of thought, why have I started it? But doing it this time around, I actually quite liked it, so I think I'm going to have to bring it back a bit quicker. But I managed all up. I was supposed to do 1,000 stitches on it for Magical Stitches, but I didn't. I did 604 stitches. But I also managed to get 3 tasks for Stitchy Quest on it, which was quest number 11, Descending to Rivendell, and we had to do 150 stitches. I did, I used it for green, so I got 234 stitches of green in for the task. I'd since done more than that. I also stitched on it for music, the music task, because 12 Days of Christmas is a song, and also in the design there are musicians because there's drummers in that. And I used it for Twilight, and used stitching on the colours of Twilight, because in this design there's lots of reds and there's some yellows and sunset sort of colours. So that was my reasoning for that. So in the end I got 604 stitches on this design. Good. Pretty good. Quite pleased in the end. Better than it sitting in the cupboard and having no stitches on it. So quite pleased with that one. So that one's done. Not sure why I got Peacock Lady out, because I didn't stitch on it this time round. So what's the next one? Oh, so I stitched on 12 Days of Christmas from the 7th of August to the 10th of August. And as I said, I got 604 stitches in the end. On the 11th of August, I managed to bring out Dog Park. Now, why did I link it? What was my link? So I think from memory, my link for Semi-Sane Stitches, the Crazy Whips link, was that there were animals and birds in 12 Days of Christmas and animals and birds in My Faces of Joan Elliott. So that was my link. So my next one that I got out, which is whip number 4 for Semi-Sane Stitches, was my Dog Park. So this is a Satsuma Street design, which has been around for a little while. I started stitching on this one on the 15th of January 2017. And I used this for a number of whips, number of things. Brain will work in a minute. I used it for Semi-Sane Stitches for whip number 4 and Crazy Whips, and I did manage to get 494 stitches on it for that task. I also used it for my owls. So I'm sure, unless you've been living under a rock and you're not interested in magical stitches, and I apologise if you're not interested in magical stitches, because I'm going to talk to you about my owls. Owls are ordinary wizarding level exams. So we've just completed owls in magical stitches this week. That was the week just gone. So yesterday or today, sort of in the US, as I'm recording, was cut off for the owls. So what we had to do, there was no penalties allowed. So we had 10 tasks to do. We had to do 7 core subjects. So like any exam, core subjects and electives. So we had to do 7 core subjects, and you could choose 3 electives out of the 5. You had to do all 7 core subjects before you could have your electives considered. But you, as long as you did 7 core subjects and 1 elective, you basically completed the task. So you didn't have to do 3. For bonus points, you got 3. You did 3 electives if you wanted to. So 100 stitches per task, you'll get the certificate to say that you exceed expectation. 200 stitches per task, you'll get outstanding. If you completed all of them, so all 7 plus 3, so 10 subjects, you would get 10 bonus points if you managed to do 200 in each, or you would get 5 bonus points if you did 100. Well, me being me, thought, yeah, I could do 100 and I could get them all done, but guess what? I'm doing 200, or I'm going to strive for 200, which then I worked it out that meant 2,000 stitches in a week. No, but I did get 7 core subjects done and 1 elective. And I had a finish. So Dog Park's finished. Now I'll put in a before picture, but essentially all I had to do on Dog Park, and I'll just fold him up a little bit so that we can see, is, oh, of course he's not going to fold up because he's going to be temperamental now. So I had to finish off the flowers on this side. I had to do all of the back stitching, so it was the little border type things and the bench and around his face and his feet, and then the mammoth task of the path. Actually, what's the best way to show you the path? So this is the path. So it's all back stitched and it's all wiggly woggly back stitch. Do you know how many times I had to recount that I got there? Watching Little Big Lies doing this. Just as well as a boring season this season. Although it got better towards the end. So I managed to do all of this and it's done. So impressed. I should have given him an iron. He's a bit creased. But he's done. Finally done after all this time. This is stitched on 28 count a MONACO Caramel Macchiato from Hand Dyed by Stephanie. I started this on the 15th of January 2017 and finished it on the 14th of August 2019. Yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it not? I used it for Semi-Sane Stitches whip number 4, 494 stitches. I used it for my owls, as I said. My owls being, I used it for herbology because it's got plants in it. I did 288 stitches. I used it for potions, again, because plants are used in potions, 278 stitches. I used it for Stitchy Quest, and in Stitchy Quest I had to use it for a pathway, so it's got a pathway in it, and I did 176 stitches for that. And I also used it for the a whip that makes you happy, so I had 152 stitches. I used it for Sean McKinney's group for the Betty Boop's birthday, and I used it so the two prompts for that was something with legs and something with ears, so I used 123 and 165 stitches. I also used it for a cartoon title, so I went searching to see what movies that Betty Boop did. So apparently there's 100 cartoons with Betty Boop, and one of them is called Pudgy Takes a Bow Wow Dog. Pudgy's a dog and a bow wow. So I did 164 stitches against that one, and then used it again for my piece to represent 100 cartoons, and I did 112 stitches again on that. In total, there is 835 stitches to get my finish, and an awful lot of those were that bleeding buck stitch. But it's done. It's awesome. It's done. So, one more whip off the whip pile. It does make you feel so good, doesn't it? I can put that one away. Done. Dusted. Don't ask me what I'm doing with it now it's finished. I have no idea. I can just say it's finished. So, I then thought, well, what's going to be whip number 5? For 500 stitches. And I'm thinking at this stage, it's the 15th of August and I am woefully behind on my owls. So I have to get my backside into gear. And because I've started doing 200, I'm sort of like, do I have to keep doing 200? Because I think I do. Because I have to do more than just exceed expectations. So I then went and looked at what do I need to do to get these other things. And guess what I thought of? Quaker Halloween. Quick stitch, obviously. Well, sort of. Picks in, thought I could use it for quite a number of the tasks, and I did. I used it for astronomy because there's a moon. These are magical stitches, sorry. So astronomy because there's the moon. I used it for charms, for the flying charm, because I said the witch has done the, was it Wingardium Leviosa, whatever it is, Wingardium Leviosa, I think it is, to make her broom fly. I used it for History of Magic because in History of Magic the teacher is Professor Binns, and Professor Binns is a ghost. Is a ghost. So I did that one. And Transfiguration. So there's cat. So Professor McGonagall is the professor of the Transfiguration class. She turns herself into a cat. So there's a cat. And then Defense against the dark arts. Well, the best defense against the dark arts is a Patronus. So you can cast a spell to create a Patronus, and a cat can be a Patronus. So I've used cat twice, so hopefully I'm going to get away with that. But essentially, this is my saviour. This is my owl's saviour, and I'll show you. So we did 268 stitches to get the moon, the astronomy charm. I did 232 stitches to do the flying charm. I did 288 stitches to complete History of Magic, 222 stitches for Transfiguration, and 222 stitches for Defense Against the Dark Arts. And I also did, what else did I use it for? I've used it for Betty Boop for the August monthly prompt number 4. So the August prompt number 4, because in the monthly challenge for Ian Sherrill's group, it's all about tools of needlework, so needles, scissors, whatever. And number 4 was fabric, and if you stitched on Zweigart fabric, it was a bonus. So this is a Zweigart fabric because it's got the orange, and it's about the only one I know is definitely Zweigart, because it's pretty rare to get hand dyed with these little selvages on it. But I'll put it in a before pic so you'll see. But I managed all up 1,232 stitches on my Quaker Halloween. Is it better if I do it that way? Might be better. So, nah, I'll fold it up. It is better to do it this way. So, I finished off this motif here. I did the witch and started that motif up there, and I've put in a couple of those little mini ones. I did that big pumpkin there, and I finished off what needed to be finished off in here. What else did I do? Oh, and that side one. That's right. That's the whole of that. I had to do the whole of that. So 1,232 stitches over the weekend. Oh, I'm so happy about that. So happy. That was my saving grace, because that gave me everything I needed to finish off the owls. And so that gave me, that finished off my 7 core subjects. So as long as I'm allowed to use cat twice, I should be all right. So also, I actually almost sat there and decided to try and finish it. And then I thought, no, I can't, because I'm running out of time. And I need to get back to the whip challenges for semi-sane stitches, because I'm seriously out of time now. But that's okay. So that particular one was, I started that on the 1st of January, so I might pull that back out before the end of the year and get it finished, because really it doesn't take too long. And it is stitched on 32 count Belfast Jello shots by hand dyed by Stephanie, but you would have seen that come up already. And I'm using silk from Silks for You, so it's just that purple silk, and I'm doing it 1 strand over 2 with silk. And I think I've mentioned on a video before that I did the moon in 1 strand of white DMC, but I've done the ghost in 2 strands, and I'm not sure. I think I'm going to take the ghost out and redo it in 1 strand, but I might put like a silver blending filament, the chronic, over the top of it, so they both sparkle. But I'm not sure. I'm still thinking about that. So, oh yes. Now, in Cheryl McKinney's group, she encourages you to do 30 minutes a day on a whip. I haven't quite got into that yet. My idea is I'm going to try and do it at lunchtime at work, but I haven't quite done that. But I did last week spend some time on my little owlets. I just did 20 minutes to, actually it was probably about 30 minutes. Just when I was sitting at lunch, and I pulled this one out because I do take this to work, but I never stitch on her. So I thought, pull her out and do it. I'll put in a before pic, but there isn't much. All I literally did was come down and fill in some more of that light purple, so nothing else. But she's staying out. I'm going to make her my 30 minutes. So when I finish this video, I will stitch on her for 30 minutes tonight, and I'll take her back to work and stitch on her for the next 5 days, or 4 days, so the rest of the week. And that will be my 5 days on her for the week. She's so cute. And I'd have her finished pretty much if I focus on her. Oh, excuse me. So that took me through to the 15th. No, sorry, it took me past the 15th, didn't it? That took me to the 18th. So that took me to yesterday morning. So I worked on Halloween for yesterday afternoon until I got that 200 stitches done. And then I switched because I still had to get an elective done, or I was going to try for 3 yesterday, but that didn't happen. I did get 1 done, and I went for a whip that I thought would be quick, but in the end it wasn't. And that was my Long Dog Samplers Castles in the Air. I did think that this would, being all one colour, that it would actually stitch up really quick and I would get, if not 600 stitches for the 3 electives, at least I'd get a couple in, but I got 1 in. And I managed to have to pull out and redo a couple of things, so it didn't quite work out that way, but that's okay. So I will put in a before pic. I'll just put this behind, but this is where she's at now. So all I managed to focus on was this area down here, and that was it, wasn't it? Oh, finish that little bit off there, but I just focused on this area here. For 200 and something stitches, what did I end up doing? I didn't write it down. Oh, 230 stitches. But I had to repeat that little duck because I've stuck him down here by mistake, so I had to put him back there. But I didn't recount him. I just said that was it. That was done. 230 stitches. This is on a 32 count Belfast, and the fabric name is called At Last, and it comes from Colour Cascade Fabrics. It is an absolutely awesome blue purple fabric, and it almost looks like velvet. It's not, obviously, but it's got this real, it's hard to show on here, but it's actually showing up more purple than here. But it ranges from the dark blue into the purples more at the bottom. So I'm going to keep that out now because that is actually whip number 6 for Sane Stitches whips. So I've got to do 600 stitches on that, which is why I was hoping that yesterday I'd get a lot more done. So it'll be out tonight for a little while and I'll be doing that. And so I chose to use that for the elective Arithmancy because it's got symbols, so they're Quaker style symbols. There is also numbers because when you date it, you put in the year in it, so there's numbers in there, and I think that was the only reasons. Oh, and symmetrical because it's a mirror image. So that is that, that is that, that is that. So all the way down here, yeah, the sides mirror, so it's symmetrical. So that gave me my 1 elective, and I did check 1 elective and 7 core subjects gives me what I need. So I was pleased with that. I also used it for Stitchy quest number 12. So we are taking a short rest now in Hobbitville, and we'll have a short rest until about the 27th, I think. And we have a number of tasks that we need to do for that. So I chose to use that one for the project with goblins or dragons because there's dragons at the bottom of that, so that got me that one. And I also used it for Sean McKinney for the Betty Boop a project with phrases or words, because at the bottom of this it says dream a little dream with me. Love it when you can cross off. Now, so that was, I was going to, actually I didn't write up how many stitches I did for the week, or the couple of weeks, but that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's there, but it doesn't matter. It was awesome. Anyway, considering I did 620 stitches in one day on Saturday with Halloween. Awesome. So I thought I would just give you a rundown now on this counting stitches thing. Is pretty cool, you know. I start to be a bit competitive with myself. So I'm still doing my solar system stitching for Sane Stitches, and I'm currently stitching Neptune. So Neptune has a diameter of 30,779 miles, I suppose it is. And I have stitched 6,351 of those for now. I'm still also stitching to Mordor. So I've just finished journey number 2. And that was the Rivendell to a Lonely Mountain one for the Hobbit. And I've started now the Lord of the Rings Hobbiton to Rivendell journey, and I've so far done 870 stitches of the 9,160 I need to do. Oh, cup of tea's gone cold. Which brings us to plans a little bit. So plans. Well, Magical Stitches are still going, obviously. So we have week 8 starting today, and week 8 is all about the bulletin board notices. So there's no penalty stitches on this one, so there's really going to be, you've got to do it and that's it, or you don't do it at all, you don't get points. So part 1 is in celebration of 11 Death Eaters being caught. So I have to work on, oh, that's why I brought out Peacock Lady. So I have to work on the 11th whip in my whip album, which happens to be Peacock Lady, and I have to do 300 stitches. So I've pulled her out to work on her, and I'll just finish off that border and hope that I've got, well, I'll probably have close to 300 stitches in that, but we'll see how we go. But I won't be doing her until the weekend because I need to do 600 stitches on this. And then I've got to do the one that's a 700, one's the 800, one's a 900, and one's a 1,000. I ain't going to get that done now. But, well, you never know. If I pick the right whip, I might. Part 2 for week 8 is in celebration of Professor Umbridge leaving the castle, and well, the Hogwarts. You have to stitch on 300 stitches in anything but pink. Well, I'm going to stick with Castles in the Air for that one, so that would be my 300 stitches on that one. And then part 3 for the bonus points, you have to do 400 stitches in honour of the Weasley twins' famous 5th floor practical joke. Well, that's where they got the swamp on the 5th floor. So I put a question up today because I want to see if I can use this for that as well. Because I did a little bit, somebody put a link to what you find in swamps on, and when I read it, it said that some swamps have foxes living there and some have woodpeckers living there. There's foxes and woodpeckers in this. So if they let me do that, that would be awesome. But it would also mean that I'm then going to have more than I need, more stitches than I need for that. So I have to be a little bit careful, because maybe I just do the 300, add the 230 I've already done, and then I might just finish with that and pull something else out to do the swamp, but we'll see. Because I've got to think about what my next whip's going to be. I don't know what my next whip's going to be on that. I'm trying to save Father Frost to the end because I want to do 1,000 stitches on Father Frost. So I might bring out a mermaid or something. I don't know. We'll see. But mermaids wouldn't live in a swamp because they wouldn't want the dirty water. So we'll see. So with Stitchy Quest, with quest number 12, which is a short rest, I've got to do a number of things which I'm hoping I can do with this. So I've got to stitch on a house. Well, this castle's in there. Well, that might work. Project that's boring and uneventful. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want to go back to Faces of Joan Elliott because that might be boring and uneventful, but I think it would do my head in. A project that you've heard about via Facebook or FlossTube. Well, I've got a couple of those, and I'm thinking that I might bring out Peace on Earth for that, and maybe that would be my house one, or my Forever and Ever might be that one. Project with a beard, well, Henry VIII has got a beard, so that one's coming out for that. Project containing conflict, Henry VIII is coming out for that, because what better conflict have you got than husband and wives, divorce, beheadings and all that sort of stuff. Dragons I've already done. Elves and humans I'll do Henry VIII as well, potentially. Project relating to hoard and stash, I'm not sure yet. A hammer, a blade or a cleaver, Henry VIII, because there's an axe in that. And a project relating to a map, I'm not sure yet. So I'm sort of getting to the thinking that somehow or another I'm going to have to use Henry VIII as my next whip for 700 stitches, and I could do that because Henry VIII lived in a castle and this is a Castles in the Air. Did you like the way I did that? That's pretty good, huh? And I just literally thought of it then. See how my brain works when it works. So in Shirl's group, I've got to do some more Betty Boop stuff. And that finishes on the 23rd, but also there's also the McDonald's week has now started, so I'll try and flip between the two where I can fit those in. I need to work on my owls, my little violet owl, so that's my 30 minutes a day project for the week. And I'm trying to leave Father Frost in the back end of August, because as I said, I want that to be my 1000th stitching one, and that also will work in with the one of the ones, the McDonald event in Cheryl's group, because you need to work on Santa and toys and stuff, so I can work in that. 24 hours of cross stitch. Wow, I forgot to tell you, I did that. Well, actually I didn't do it. I did 24 hours. I did 16 or 17 hours over 48 hours. I didn't do my 24 hours. I managed to sit up to I think about 1 o'clock on Saturday night, and that was it. I was done. But next time it's in October. Take 5 will be in October, and it's actually the week of my birthday, so maybe I might try and pull a 24-hour stint for my birthday. That'd be a good celebration for my birthday, so we'll see how we go with that. But I'm still working through the holidays, so I will, at the end of on my next video, I'll tell you what I did for the holidays. And I've still got the acrostic. I've still got 2 to finish on the acrostic. Retail therapy. We have some, but nothing exciting, to be honest. There's only a couple of little bits. So I have my Kermit, Crystal Kermit, which is Picture This Plus. This is gorgeous. I'm actually going to take it out of the plastic because I think this is awesome. Don't ask me what I would ever stitch on it, because it's just like my Jello shots, but I think it's also a bit like Belligerent Bog that Tammy's done. Similar sort of colouring, very sort of yellowy, greeny colouring, very pretty. However it's going to show up, it's not going to show up, but I'm sure most people know what Picture This Plus Kermit looks like. And the only other haul I've got, which is a bit crinkly, is Tammy recently had her Studio Sessions sales, which I've mentioned before. She gets rid of some odd bits of fabric that's been, offcuts or for some reason didn't get sold. So I managed to get 2 of them. So I've got this awesome one. This is a 32 count Lugana. I'm not sure what colour. It probably was a raspberry one or something. Raspberry, I can't remember what, raspberry ripple or raspberry beret maybe. Awesome colour. And then there's this one, which is a nice long piece. And this one was a 32 Joblin. So again, not sure what I would use for this one, but these are just pretty much offcuts where she's dyed the extra bits. So that's the haul. I told you, exciting, huh? Exciting. Now, I do have one more little thing. In my last video, I mentioned that I had something I was going to talk about in my next one. Well, I'm not quite ready to talk about that, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek. And the sneak peek is these. So, these are something that Hubby's just recently done. And he's going to have them for sale on his Etsy shop. So they're tea towels. These are absolutely gorgeous tea towels, which he's stitched up. And he's got a couple on his Etsy shop at the moment. He's got a couple of coffee ones and a couple of others, but he's doing these ones at the moment as well. So in another couple of weeks, probably in my next video, once he's finished putting stuff on his Etsy shop, I will have him on and he can talk to you about them, but I thought I would just do a sneak peek. So stay tuned for those. And I think that's all. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. So probably that's it. So next time round, I'll be back in about 2 weeks' time, or maybe earlier, depending on how we go with, if I get any more finishes. But yeah, otherwise that I'll be back in 2 weeks, and I'll give you an update on what I do for the rest of the month for my crazy whips and semi-sane stitches whips. So obviously I finished that's going to be 600. By the sounds of it, Henry VIII will be my whip number 7. Father Frost I know is going to be whip number 10, so I've got to somehow try to get to that. So I've just got to think of what I'm going to do for 800 and 900 stitches. And it's going to have to be 2 really quick and easy ones, because otherwise I'll never get them done. but that's okay, we'll get there. So for now, I will say goodbye, and I will hopefully see you in 2 weeks. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking and commenting. And thank you, I forgot to say, I had a couple of new subscribers. So welcome to my new subscribers. That should have been at the beginning, but it's at the end now. And thank you very much for everybody who's come back and watched. And I do hope I'll see you again really soon. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Bye.